The detective slammed his hand on the metal table, rattling the cold cup of coffee he'd placed there an hour ago. He leaned in close, his breath smelling of stale tobacco and desperation. 3 boys, kid. 3 varsity athletes don't just vanish into thin air. Their GPS signals died at your property line. Their cars were found a mile down the road. We know they went to your house. I looked at him, summoning every ounce of fear I had learned to fake over the last 17 years. I let my lip tremble. I let my eyes fill with tears. I told you, I whispered, my voice cracking perfectly. They texted me that they were coming to hurt me. I locked the doors. I hid in my closet. I never saw them. Maybe they ... Maybe they changed their minds. The detective stared at me, searching for a crack. He wouldn't find one. He saw a terrified, bullied teenager, a victim. He didn't see the truth. He didn't know that the only reason those boys never walked out of my house was because they made the fatal mistake of breaking into a home where the monsters aren't hiding under the bed, they re-sitting at the dinner table. To understand why those boys disappeared, you have to understand who was waiting for them in the dark. My life has always been a balancing act between the waking world and a nightmare. To the neighbors, we were the perfect family. My father was a charming, well-spoken man who loved to cook. My mother was beautiful, with an innocent face that made everyone trust her instantly. My older brother was quiet, protective, the kind of guy who kept to himself, and then there was me, the anomaly, the normal one. The only one in the house who felt empathy, fear, and guilt. I realized my family was different when I was 5 years old. I walked into the kitchen to find my father wearing his favorite white apron. He was humming a tune, smiling that sickly sweet smile he always wore when he was working. The apron was stained heavy with fresh, bright red blood. He wasn't butchering a deer. He wasn't preparing a roast. He looked at me, adjusted his glasses which were speckled with red droplets, and told me to go to my room because things were going to get messy. I ran. I didn't ask questions. That was the first rule of survival in my house. Don't look, don't ask, and never ever touch the basement door. As I grew up, the evidence mounted, not in screams, but in silences. People who wronged us had a habit of encountering misfortune. It started with small things. When I was 10, I had a stray cat I adored. It was the only living thing that didn't look at me with cold, calculating eyes. One afternoon, the cat got out. I found it in the woods behind our cul-de-sac, cornered by 2 neighborhood boys. They were laughing, hurting it. By the time I got there, the cat was broken, limping, one eye swollen shut, mewing in agony. My brother found us. He didn't yell. He didn't run the boys off. He just walked up, looked at the suffering animal, and looked at me. "You don't want it to hurt anymore, do you?" he asked. His voice was flat, devoid of emotion. "No," I sobbed. Without a flinch, he snapped the cat's neck. It was efficient, brutal. He didn't do it out of mercy. He did it because it was the logical solution to a noise problem. Later, my father checked the security cameras. He saw the boys who had started it. He didn't call their parents. He didn't call the police. He just said, "Those boys are undisciplined. Someone should teach them a lesson." 2 days later, the police were swarming the neighborhood. The boys had been found in the woods. The official report said it was a wild animal attack, a bear or a mountain lion, but I knew. I remembered the red stain on my brother's jacket when he came home late that night. I remembered him washing his hands for 20 minutes, scrubbing until his skin was raw. That was the reality I lived in. My family viewed other human beings as either assets or liabilities. If you weren't useful, you were in the way. And if you were in the way, you were removed. I spent my high school years trying to be invisible. I wore baggy clothes. I kept my head down. I didn't make friends because I couldn't risk bringing anyone home. I was terrified that if I brought a friend over, they might say the wrong thing, see the wrong thing, and end up as another misfortune. But predators have a way of sensing prey, and at my new high school, the predators were a group of 3 varsity football players. The ringleader was a guy named Marcus. He was handsome, rich, and cruel in a way that bored people are. He didn't just want to beat you up. He wanted to humiliate you. It started with name-calling, freak, ghost. Then it escalated to physical stuff, tripping me in the hallways, knocking my trays over. Typical high school movie cliches, until it wasn't. One afternoon, Marcus and his friends cornered me in the locker room. There were no cameras there. Marcus grabbed me by the hair while his friends kicked my ribs. They laughed as they did it. They poured industrial glue into my hair, telling me that bitches don't deserve pretty hair. I didn't fight back. I couldn't. If I fought back, if I made a scene, the school would call my parents. And if my parents found out, Marcus wouldn't just get suspended, Marcus would get erased. I dragged myself home that afternoon, trying to clean the glue out of my hair in a gas station bathroom before I faced my mother. I failed. When I walked through the door, my mother was waiting in the foyer. She looked like a porcelain doll, flawless skin, perfectly coiffed hair, a gentle smile that didn't reach her eyes. She stopped me. Her eyes scanned my disheveled appearance. She reached out and touched a bruising cut on my cheek. Her fingers were ice cold. "Who did this?" she asked. Her voice was light, airy, like she was asking about the weather. "Nobody," I stammered, pulling away. "I fell, during gym. I tripped on the bleachers." She grabbed my chin. Her grip was iron. "Don't lie to me, sweetie. You know I hate liars." "Was it those boys? The ones you mentioned last week?" "No, Mom, please, just let it go." She let go of my face and smiled. "Go wash up. Dinner is in an hour. Dad's making his special roast." I went to my room and locked the door, my heart hammering against my ribs. I thought I had dodged a bullet. I thought I had protected them. But I didn't know that Marcus had already signed his own death warrant. The next day, I found a note in my locker. It was a photo they had taken of me on the locker room floor, curled up in a ball while they laughed. On the back, in thick black marker, Marcus had written, "We're bored of school. Tonight, we're coming to your house to see how the freaks live. Be ready." Panic, cold and sharp, flooded my veins. They were coming to my house. They were coming to this house. I spent the rest of the school day in a daze. I tried to find Marcus. I wanted to beg him. I wanted to get on my knees and plead with him not to come, not for my sake, but for his. "You don't understand," I rehearsed in my head. "My dad isn't normal. My brother isn't normal. If you break in, you aren't walking out." But I never got the chance. They skipped the last period. When I got home, the atmosphere was heavy. My father was in the kitchen, sharpening his knives. Swing, swing, swing. A sound rhythmically cut through the silence. My mother was arranging flowers in the hallway. "Mom," I said, my voice trembling. I think some kids might come by tonight." "Pranking. Just stupid teenagers. If they come, please, just don't open the door. Call the police. Let them go." My mother turned to me. She was holding a large, velvety red rose. She snapped the stem to the perfect length. "Why would we call the police, darling? We love guests." She pulled a piece of paper from her pocket. It was the photo. The photo Marcus had put in my locker. She must have gone through my backpack while I was in the shower. "They seem very spirited," she said, looking at the image of her bleeding child. Her eyes were black voids. "They said they wanted an unforgettable night. We should give them one." "Mom, no. Please. Go to your room," my father called out from the kitchen. He didn't look up from the knife. "Put on your headphones. Turn the music up loud." I ran to my room. I locked the door. I put my noise-canceling headphones on. But I didn't turn the music on. I sat in the corner of my bed, staring at the window, watching the sun go down, praying that Marcus would get a flat tire, praying he would get bored, praying he would go anywhere else. At 8:45 p.m., the motion sensor light in the driveway flickered on. I crept to the window and peeked through the blinds. A black Jeep had pulled up to the curb, lights off. 3 shadows hopped out. I recognized Marcus's varsity jacket. They were laughing, whispering, holding baseball bats. They thought they were the predators. They thought they were invading the home of a weak victim. They crept toward the back door. I wanted to scream. I wanted to bang on the glass and warn them, "Run! Get out of here!" But I couldn't move. Fear paralyzed me. I heard the glass break downstairs. It was faint, muffled by the floorboards. Then, I heard the heavy oak door open. Silence followed. I expected shouting. I expected the sound of breaking furniture. But there was just silence. Then, I heard my father's voice. It wasn't his scary voice. It was his welcoming, neighborly voice. "Good evening, gentlemen. You must be Marcus. My daughter has told us so much about you." I pressed my ear to the floor. We're looking for her," Marcus stammered. The bravado was gone. He must have seen something. Maybe he saw my brother standing in the shadows of the hallway. Maybe he saw the plastic sheeting my father had laid down in the living room for painting. "She's upstairs," my mother said. Her voice drifted up, sweet like poisoned honey. "But why don't you stay for dinner first?" "We insist. We should go," one of the other boys said. His voice was high, panicked. Let's go. This is weird." "The door is locked," Marcus said. "Why is the door locked?" "To keep the draft out," my father said. "Now boys, manners. Take your shoes off. You're tracking mud on my clean floors." There was a scuffle, a thud. The sound of a baseball bat hitting the floor, clattering loudly, then a gasp wet and choked. "Oh dear," my mother sighed. "You've made a mess on the rug." "Marcus, dear, could you hand me that towel?" "No, don't back away. It's rude to leave when the host is speaking to you." I squeezed my eyes shut. I put the headphones over my ears and turned the volume all the way up. I blasted heavy metal, classical, anything to drown out the sounds that followed. But I could still feel the vibrations. The heavy thuds, the dragging sounds. I stayed in that corner for hours. I didn't sleep. Around 3 a.m., the music on my playlist stopped. The house was dead silent. My bedroom door handle turned. I flinched, curling into a tight ball. The door opened. A slice of light from the hallway cut across my room. My father stood there. He had showered. His hair was wet. He was wearing clean pajamas. He looked like any other dad checking on his kid after a nightmare. "It's all done, sweetie," he whispered. "You don't have to worry about those bullies anymore. They won't be bothering you again." I looked at him, my eyes adjusting to the dark. Where are they?" He smiled, pushing his glasses up his nose. "They went on a trip. A long, permanent vacation. Now, get some sleep. You have school tomorrow." He closed the door. The next morning, the house smelled of bleach and lavender. The rug in the foyer was gone, at the cleaners, my mother said. The back window was repaired. There was not a single trace that 3 teenage boys had ever stepped foot inside. My father drove me to school. As we pulled out of the driveway, I saw him wave to the neighbor walking her dog. She waved back, smiling at the nice man who always kept his lawn so manicured. When I got to school, the rumors started immediately. Marcus and his friends hadn't come home. People were saying they ran away to Mexico. People were saying they got drunk and crashed their car into the river. By 3rd period, the police were at the school. By 4th period, they were pulling me out of class. And that brings us back to the metal table. To the detective staring at me, trying to find a hole in my story. "We know they didn't just disappear, kid," the detective said, leaning back. "People talk. We know they were bullying you. It gives you motive." I wiped my eyes with the tissue he gave me. I looked him dead in the face, channeling my mother's innocent, wide-eyed stare. "I hated them," I admitted. "They made my life hell. But I didn't hurt them. I'm 5'4" and I weigh 100 pounds. How could I hurt 3 football players?" The detective sighed. He knew I was right. Physically, it was impossible. And he had no evidence, no bodies, no weapon, no witnesses. Just a GPS signal that vanished near a subdivision of perfect upper-middle-class homes. You're free to go, he grumbled. But don't leave town. I stood up, my legs shaking just enough to sell the performance. Am I safe? I asked. If they come back... am I safe? The detective looked at me with pity. If they come back, you call us immediately. I nodded and walked out of the station. My father was waiting for me in the parking lot. He was leaning against our family sedan, looking at his watch. When he saw me, his face lit up. He opened the passenger door for me. How did it go, princess? He asked as I buckled in. Fine, I said quietly. They don't know anything. Good, he said, patting my knee. I made your favorite for dinner tonight, lasagna. I looked out the window as we drove past the woods where I used to play. I thought about the cat. I thought about the teacher who disappeared in 4th grade. I thought about Marcus. I realized then that I was never going to be bullied again. I was never going to be hurt by anyone in the outside world. I had the ultimate protection. But as I looked at my father's calm, smiling profile, I realized the price of that safety. The world is full of monsters, but most people have to go looking for them. Me? I go home to them every night. And God help anyone who tries to follow me through that front door.